Hey, y'all. Welcome to your show.
Don't be a victim.
I'm Lee Turner Jr. of Tango Firearms Training.
I'm Buddy Myers of Tall Guns.
Welcome back to another week. Most of you might have caught on that we wasn't able to do a show last week. With Buddy's schedule, my schedule, we just could not make it happen.
Yeah, we had this thing, we those of us that own businesses, we have to file these things called income taxes by the
Mhm.
15th of March for certain types of business entities. And I was jumping through hoops doing that, along with assisting a couple of other young business persons up here in Colorado that I mentor and help them with their businesses with. And of course, they weren't real diligent in doing their jobs and getting their stuff done. So, yeah, we had a little late night and getting things done. Plus, my wife and I adopted a new member to our family. No, it's not two legged, it's four legged. A low energy Australian Shepherd that's 8 weeks old. Oh my God. Keep you busy, keep you young.
That's
Oh,
why I was going to announce that you had a new addition. So, yeah, I'm sure you're trying to get her used to the new home life, right?
well, yeah, we picked her up Sunday at 4 p.m. and then brought her home. And then, we messed with her, had bought a lot of stuff for her because we've had, numerous dogs before. So we had a lot of stuff in our stockpiles. We got some other things specific for her on Saturday and Sunday because we made the commitment to buy on Thursday to the folks, and then picked her up on Sunday, and then I came into the office chasing taxes and on Tuesday, and then I was going home at nighttime, and it was kind of like having real kids. Lee, my wife Beverly would look at me and go, "She's yours.
Yeah.
She's yours the rest of the
you,
night."
you wanted her?
Well,
Yeah, go get her.
yeah, I actually yes, those words did flow through the air.
I could see
You
that.
wanted this child? It's yours. Wait till your father gets home. He'll blow your muzzle off with a bazooka. Yeah,
Well, we definitely know.
she's wonderful
Go,
though.
I bet she's beautiful from the pictures you sent me.
No,
She really is beautiful.
yep.
But
Pictures don't do
most
her
people,
justice.
we've been, a couple of weeks ago, we kind of went over some of the world topics, and I think it's time to take a break from all that because everything we all know everything's Putin's fault, anyways. Gas prices, sun don't shine, rain is too much, so it's just all Putin's fault. So I think once we talk,
Actually, Lee, I'm sorry. It is St. Peter's University. It's a Jesuit seminary out of New Jersey. It's everything in the world is their fault because they have completely blown my Eastern bracket in the Final Four that's been playing in Philadelphia. How those individuals beat Kentucky and then Murray State, and now they're facing Purdue. They've cost me so much money. Oh,
sorry,
yeah, that's all right. They've cost me a bunch of money. It's like,
you,
oh, God bless them, literally.
well, could be a Russian conspiracy. You never
I
know.
never thought about that. Peter. Let me see, Peter the Great. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's got Russian ties to it.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that could. Yep, I'm on board with that. I'm kind of looking at this schedule. Yep, it's definitely the Russians. I can see it right here in front of me. Right here in front of me, looking at this breakdown. Yep, and there it is. Hunter's laptop beats FBI. Yeah, that's it. That blew that bracket too. Okay.
Well, we are glad that laptop thing's coming out, but so we wanted to talk to you guys about
And
was
I'm
going
gonna interrupt before Lee starts because I am gonna take
to.
one topic on for just a moment, and then we'll get going because I don't want to do this. When somebody speaks their mind and speaks out, right now, if it's not in line with what other people want to do, they find ways to retaliate. Case in point, Elon Musk. This man is a brilliant businessman. He's putting people into space. He's developed an electric vehicle, but he made the statement is we do not have the ability to build enough electric vehicles or to have the power grids support them. We need to be drilling oil. On yesterday, I was noticing in one of the papers I looked through, guess who's getting a recall investigation on all of his vehicles from the United
Oh,
States government?
I
Elon
bet he
Musk.
is.
Oh, he
Mm-hmm.
is. Elon Musk. But just saying.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Trump tried to expose the swamp here, but the swamps are all over the world. I mean, I'm sure you
Well,
heard about the ballet dancer or whatever she was spoke out against the Russian war, and they found her in a suitcase a week later. So you never know. You gotta be careful what you say.
not surprised. Well, you used to speak out about stuff in Chicago, and they'd find you with concrete on your feet at the bottom of Lake Michigan.
And that's the world we live in, people. Saw people walking around with blinds on each side of their eyes like a horse pulling a carriage, and eventually it's going to get right in front of you.
That's all right, but we're all about freedom of speech. Just ask those young kids at Yale University how they yelled down a freedom of speech caucus discussion. It was like, I'm sorry. And those are your future Supreme Court justices, folks, and your future congressmen and federal judges and business leaders. But let's go on about citing. Let's take dead aim.
I'll tell you what, since I know we're probably coming up close on a break, what we're going to do is try to give you all a guide to buying sites, because I'm going to tell you what happened to me. And I told Buddy about it before the show. So I'll tell you what happened when I'm looking for a set of sites, and then we'll go from there after the break.
Yep, we're going to go ahead and take that break. We're just, we're taking a little early one here today. We're about a minute and a half ahead of time, but we're going to go ahead and take that break. We'll be right back. Now we're back from break because Lee just wanted to buy a few more moments for his next discussion.
Yeah, I had to find it here. But, when you go out.
There's the issue. He needed a set of sights. First of all, you got to have a set of eyes to do it. But
yeah. That ain't no good. But first of all, it can be hard enough picking a set of sights, let alone you have numbered. You got to pick the right site, the right fit. Now,
but
most people know that
I'm not buying sights. I'm buying a scope.
You buy a scope, but I can only shoot iron sights on this shooting team down here.
Now you're self-serving. See, here you're focused on the shooting team. Okay, so we're going to talk about a handgun sight system. Okay, go ahead. Now I'm on track.
We can definitely roll into all of them. I mean, there's iron sight scopes, red dots. There's all kinds we can go with.
Yeah, let's start with the first one, though, about buying. Lee's on a good point here.
Buying a set of iron sights. I like iron sights. To me, iron sights are marksmanship, period. You learn to shoot iron sights, everything else is just cherry on top. But once you have picked that set, and we'll go over certain types of different brands and what we may think is good. But now you got to find the fit. So I actually called a certain dealer who I purchased the firearm from and said, hey, I need a set of sights. And what numbers are they? Well, it's a 6 front and an 8 rear. Well, then I get an email a couple of days later. Oh, no, it's an 8 front and an 8 rear. So, especially with Buddy being a master gunsmith, those are the people that you want to be asking opinions from.
Well, normally you would think the engineers who built the gun would know exactly what their guns made to spec. It's kind of like calling up Chevrolet and asking, hey, what piece do I need to fix my transmission? And they give you a Ford Motor Company part number. Yeah, put this in there. It'll work great. Oh, yeah, you bet you it will. I spent 3 days trying to put that in there. Oh, yeah, well, it's the wrong part. Well, wonderful.
Well, what did Lee do? I'm not going to be tricked, so I bought both, 6 and an 8 and an 8 and an 8.
Yeah, not gun folks. He's bought sights. And when he says iron sights, he means, the fixed sights on the guns that, they don't have optics or anything.
And fixed sights can be a beautiful adjustment to the gun, especially when you start getting into night sights where they glow in the dark. But we'll get into that here coming up. But we want to talk about choosing certain models. So I'm going to let Buddy start and see what are some of your favorite iron sights if you were to switch your handguns over.
Ones that fit the gun right.
That's true.
That's where I always start at. Yeah, I'll tell you, the ones I like, depending upon what I'm doing. And, nowadays you've got a lot of different choices. I used to like the on my revolvers, and I still do, the Smith & Wesson red ramp. They always were good about having a red on the front ramp of the handgun sight that when it went up, that you could easily tell that, yeah, I'm aligned on my sights with the red that's there and get a good sight picture. With my revolvers that are single action, these are cowboy western style guns. I just use the sights it comes with, but with my competition guns or semi-automatics, here I start to make some deviations. I like ones that have got fiber optics. I like them where they've got the tritium, the glow in the dark that Lee said. I really like the ones that have both of those in them. So, because what fiber optic does, it allows you to pick up ambient light, whether it's from the sun or lights in a room, that make them really glow well. And I like to put red out on the front and green or yellow at the back, because red means, that's, you're in the danger zone. You could fire that gun so that, when you put it on there, and the eyes are attracted to that color when the sights come up. And then with the tritium, if I don't have a lot of light, it still will illuminate those fiber optic rods. And if everything fails on both the fiber optic and the tritium for some reason, I still can shoot that just like it's a standard set of term iron sights. Everybody uses a front post with a rear sight to align and set up off. That's what I like on, my handguns, kind of 3 different variations of them.
Yeah, and I favor, and it's hard for me to choose. So for whatever my purpose is with this handgun, I'm a huge fan of the high vis, and they're out of relocated from Fort Collins up to Wyoming, didn't they?
Yeah, they're up in Laramie.
They're up in Laramie now.
Phil Howe got irritated with our magazine limitation bans, and he moved his entire operation up there.
Don't blame him. But high vis, I'm a huge fan, especially for my self-defense handguns on those. But now for like competition, I do like the True Glows too, because they give you an outer white ring for daytime shooting, which align very, very easily. But then they still have the night sights, because like Buddy said, I love fiber optics. Any chance I can switch. Even I had when High Vis came out with them for Ruger SP-101s revolvers. Now I had 3 of these. I have 3 of these. I jumped on them, bought 3, can't change out the rear sight on the SP-101, but you can change out the front sight. And I went with red, like Buddy said, because I do use those revolvers for self-defense. They're not competition. But I went with the fiber optic red front sight on those revolvers, and so glad I did, because I really do like the fiber optics.
Yeah, and Phil makes a great product. I mean, when I first met him at the SHOT Show in 2008, along with Phil Schreiber from the NRA's National Firearms Museum, I actually got some from him and put them on home defense shotguns from High Vis and on one of my ARs, because it does make it a lot easier in low light conditions to use, because his product line covers a whole bunch of stuff. The True Glows, Phil hasn't got one with the tritium on the back, and I've only got that on a couple of very specialized guns that are for my personal defense usage, and I was putting those on firearms for the enforcement unit for the Colorado Department of Wildlife and for one of our PDs out here, and very impressed with how well it helped with the sighting situation on the gun and being able to pull it together. Well, hold on a second, folks. We've got to go to a break, and we will be right back. All right, we're back off that break. And as I said, it was very, very specific. And that's why I put them on the guns, because it did such a great job of highlighting the target. Because the one thing I'm not a fan of, it's good for competition, then not for carrying as a self-defense or even as a law enforcement firearm or a security gun, are these red dot holographic type sights, or the red dot sights. You see them they're putting them on all the guns. It sticks up on the back of it like it's got a tumor growing on it. But I'm not a real big fan of those, because it makes the implication, creates I'm sorry, and I don't mean to offend anybody who may be a big fan of these, the laziness on aiming. Because it makes the assumption that in a gunfight, you're going to bring the gun up, rotate center mass, front sight forward, press out, be able to get your eyes on that sight, which takes a little bit more time than iron sights or my preferred self-defense primary sight, a crimson trace laser grip on the side of the gun that illuminates the target with a red dot, another sighting system. And, and shoot that way, because it takes a while for the eye to grab it. It makes an assumption, one, that you can find a holster it's going to fit on. Two, that it's resilient enough it doesn't get banged around. Three, you're going to invest the money to buy one made in America, not made by those, my wonderful friends over in Wuhan. And they, that you're going to be able to draw and shoot that way. That ain't going to work. And if somebody said, well, he's wrong, it'll work. I've been in a shooting, a civilian-based shooting. If you haven't been there, don't tell me about it. You're not going to get up to that nice front side forward press out, shoot. No, you might have to draw, clear it, shoot right from the hip. And you're not going to have a sighting system that's going to give you any, great advantage at that time, except for the laser. That's why my sidearm, Lee will attest this, that I carry primarily for all the time for self-defense. It's got fiber optic. It's got tritium on it. It's got standard sight. And, oh, yeah, guess what? It's got a laser on it. No single point of failure. Battery's dead in the laser, I can use the others. If the fiber optic breaks, I can use the other. If the tritium breaks because oxygen got through, violated the seal, and since it's radioactive, it evaporates, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and for our listeners out there, it's like, well, fiber optics, what is that? It's a thin tube. It's like a plastic hard tube. It will glow. Like when I got the ones for the Ruger, it came with red, green, and white. So I could actually change them out. So you buy a handgun, it has just a standard 3-dot system on it. Then the paint can chip out. They can get dirty. But these fiber optics, they're tube. And what would you say they're made of, buddy?
They're made of plastic.
Plastic.
They're plastic.
Okay.
They're made out of plastic. It's the same plastic that they use to lay the fiber optic communications network for NORAD down in Colorado Springs. It's the same one you're seeing all these cities that are saying. Quest really pushed it when they were saying ride the light. They put in a fiber optic network all around the country. You've got other companies that are doing it now, but it's a hardened plastic. But there is some caution. They can break, and if they get fractured, either one, you don't install them like regular sights. You can have a special way that you put them in. You don't tap them in or float them in. Otherwise, you run the chance of breaking the fiber optic. And if you're not cautious and make sure you've got a holster that protects it, it can get banged on something and fracture it. Mm-hmm. And now you're replacing it.
I highly, I am a backyard gunsmith. I don't have a problem tearing my AR down, putting new components, whatever. But when it comes to my sights,
that's being an armor.
I don't touch.
I do not. Don't back.
I don't
backyard
touch
armors. You're not gunsmiths. Yeah. I'm really funny about that topic.
I do not touch my sights. I will take them to a certified gunsmith and everyone I've ever done and I've changed out all my handguns. When I take them to there, they come back shooting more accurately. Because I think when they come from a factory, they're not so fine-tuned, but you take them to one hell of a gunsmith, and he's going to fine-tune it for you.
Well, he's going to get them. That's what we're supposed to do. You bring a gun to us and you ask us to sight it in and do things. I mean, you're making the adjustments to the front and the rear sights. You should be, using, augmenting with the right tools that you can put we actually can put lasers, inside of the barrels, tie the front sights to the laser alignment, which aligns the bore and, adjust windage, elevation, move those sights around so that they're set up just perfect. And, we should always have the client test it, look at it, and set it up that way. Even when I put a 3-sight system on somebody's gun, that being fiber optic, tritium, iron sight, and then it's a 4th one, the laser. Yeah, they're all tuned in, that they all work based upon how they set up. That's what you're supposed to do. Get a lot of feedback. Must be Putin.
Yeah, Putin's even the blame for the price of them. But if you're going to go out and invest the money into a nice handgun and a set of good sights, like I said, high vis, true glow, those are my personal 2 top picks. You'll pick up a good set for $70 to about $120. Depends on what you're looking at. That's for both. That's for front and rear. And, what's another $70 to $120 to make the gun perform to where you're happy with it? Because if If it's not shooting and performance and what you think it could be, why not spend the extra $70 to $120 and make the gun perform even better than when it came out of the box?
And sometimes, Lee, it can be more than $120 once you add the cost to have the installation put into it, or even the cost of the sights, depending upon manufacturer. Especially, I tell everybody, do not skimp with the gun that you're going to carry to protect your life or the life of your family or the folks I train, that their responsibility is to train the life of others or to protect the life of others. Because are you willing to bet your life on saving, $20, $30 because you went with one that's an off brand, that's not a recognized brand, or, well, I saw it over there in Amazon and it was $50 less than everybody else. Well, there's a reason it's $50 less than everybody else.
And that's why we do these shows, to try to give you a little bit of guidance. And again, we're telling you our personal experiences and what we may favor. Again, I'm a high vis true glow guy, and all of my personal defense has high vis on them.
Yeah, and I'm trying to add in my professional expertise as a gunsmith, as a firearms instructor for a lot of years, that, the things I've seen work, not work, based upon, inputs from lots of different people in the industry that I work closely with about, what's a good gun. Because, to be honest, on your handgun, you could also end up, I mentioned a scope at the start, because if you're going to shoot, for example, something like a Smith & Wesson 500, or you're going to shoot a 460 Ruger in a handgun, or a 454 Casull, or Dave Limbaugh's, the 460 Limbau round, you may be using it to hunt, because you can hunt with a handgun in those calibers. Yes, you can shoot and drop a deer. You can shoot and drop an elk, but you're going to be closer, but you still can use the scope because that gun has the range enough. And when you get a good, high quality, we refer to scopes as glass, don't be surprised if you don't spend an amount equal to or even more than what the gun cost.
Exactly. No kidding.
Yeah, and because it's all based upon the quality. I've got some scopes that I can look through, and it's like looking through the clear open air. And it's perfect, and I've got my little sight adjustments depending upon, and there's, that'll drive you nuts, mil dot, ballistic dot, bal dot, this dot, blah, 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 red, green, orange, yellow, pink, whatever. But, all kinds of different variations. But there's others, cheap ones, that I've had come in here that customers have got saying, I can't quite see through this right. And I'll look through it, and this has been a while. I don't do commercial stuff. I only do stuff for security teams. But I'll look through it, and it's like looking through, a bottom of a glass with Vaseline rubbed on it. Well, how much you pay for this stellar scope you got here? $19.95. $1,995 for this? No, $19.95. Well, that explains it. That explains it. That explains it.
We're talking, and there's so many types of different sight systems. A lot of questions I get to is, what's the difference between a red dot sight and a reflex? Well, the difference is a red dot is in a tube. Looks like a little mini scope, maybe 4 or 5 inches long. But now your reflex, and you might have to help me explain that, buddy, it's maybe a 1/2 inch wide, 3/4 inch wide. There's like a little glass window, correct?
Yeah, it's holographic. That was a term, if you ever want to research what these are, you look at a Burris Fast Fire 3. You look at the unit that's from the EOTech was one of the first ones. The Owl from Trigicon. It was set up that when you would come up on site, target, it would put this holographic target up there. You can't see it if you don't align it just perfect. That's great under certain circumstances, but it's more for tactical operators. Don't let somebody sell you one. If you want to have something that's not in the standard, kind of a glass, like the Trigicon ACOGs or the Burris AR 132, 332, they're 532. I will never recommend anything that comes from the Chinese or from the folks in Russia, ATN or the Holosun products. You could get the Sig Sauer Romeo as is an example of your red dot sights, and a lot of different selections about what they do and how the colors and what they can put out there. And yeah, those red dots, those are good for that purpose, but not for self-defense. They're good for hunting. They're good for if you need to use it for home defense. But I always go back to, the laser helps a lot. I'm a laser bigot because they do come on sight fast for most people. Most people's eyes and under fear will not focus. But if you're going to use it for competition shooting stuff, oh, hell yeah. I'd have those tritiums out there. I'd have that fiber optic out there. I'd have it all out there.
Unless you shoot in the Marine Corps. Unless you shoot in the Marine Corps League, then you got to shoot iron sights.
Yeah. Unless you're shooting on the street for real life, then you use anything you got that gives you an advantage. One of my security teams ended up in a shooting on Saturday night, so here in Denver. Well, I hate to do this to you, Lee, but, it is that time of the day, and we're going to have to call it quits today. And then, folks, tell you what we'll do. We'll come back to sighting again next week, and we'll actually go through and we'll cover rifles and shotgun sighting systems, just so we kind of put it into context. So,
get some scopes in there.
Yeah, we'll talk about scopes. We'll talk about how they can still use fiber optics on those, and iron sights, and ladder sights, and, sights. Oh, my God, give me a sight. So, Lee, if you want to take us into our closing.
All right. Like I say, always watch your six, watch your family six, and just watch out for yourselves right now in this time that we're in. And as long as you have our Lord and Savior in your life, 6 feet ain't so far down.
And folks, remember, as I always say, freedom is not won on the battlefield, but in the home and the classroom. Know what your children are being taught about freedom and teach them about freedom in your home. And until next week, you have a wonderful one here from the team at Don't Be a Victim. Good day.